Okay, gang. Today is Thursday, 3rd October 2024. Free the citizens, free the mandem, and Galamsey now because Ghana is at stake. Let's all play our parts, man. I'm out here playing my part, so play your part as well. There's another chapter of let's keep fucking around till we find out, because the more we fuck around, the more we find out, innit? Seems like every time I come on here with another episode, I come with a new name, which is kind of cool because it all boils down to we not feeling bad for ourselves or our lives because our lives are fucked up in their own unique ways. Now, on today's episode, the very interesting topic for discussion is what are your emotions and how do your emotions affect your reality? This topic is quite broad, and so this wouldn't be the first and the last video on it. I might in the near future make other videos to explain things further. Believe it or not, your emotions do affect your reality, and by the end of this video you will understand why I'm saying what I'm saying and how your emotions actually do affect your reality. You and I both know that we go through a roller coaster of emotions throughout our lives, like in our daily lives, good and bad days, on and off times, and all those things. We don't actually get the time to observe our emotions close enough to know what is really going on. And so most of the times we just let them rule our lives, take over, decide which path our lives take, and then we just follow them however or whichever way they go. As some of you guys may be aware, I think I've already said this in some of my videos, that these things that I'm sharing on here are things that I have been kind of forced to learn because of some past experiences. And they say that when you teach something that you learn it twice. And so I guess I'm going to be doing this regardless of if I get the views or if I get the shares or if I get the likes or whatnot. So let's get it. Now, the first question I would want to ask to start things off is, what comes into your mind when you hear the word emotion? Maybe your definition for what an emotion is the way you feel, or the sadness you feel, or the depression that comes your way. Usually when we hear that somebody is emotional, we think, oh, that person is sad, or that person is depressed, or that person is in their feelings, or whatever it is. Even though I'm not an expert on the topic, I know that those definitions of what we think emotions are not as accurate as we think. Your emotions and your feelings are two different things. And by the end of the video, stick around, you are going to find out why I'm saying what I'm saying. Generally speaking, an emotion is simply an energized thought pattern whose movements in the mind creates a neurological print for the thing or the place or the person or the circumstance that generated that thought. And then in turn, that energized thought pattern generates sensations or feelings in the body of whoever is experiencing that emotion. Now, I'll break that into simple terms by using examples. But before that, hold up, think about what I said, think about that definition, let it sink, let it settle. To put it simply, an emotion is just energy in motion. This energy is supposed to move. It is an energized thought pattern which is supposed to move. It is emotion. It's supposed to be in motion, right? But then when you block the movement of this energy, you end up storing that energy in your mind, somewhere in your subconscious mind. How does this happen? Now, when you think about something, when you think about a person or a place or a circumstance or a thing, anything at all, you show it to your conscious mind, which is your analytical mind. Over here, you can either choose to neglect that thought by not paying attention to it, by not identifying with it, or you can accept it into your subconscious mind by paying more attention to it, by repeating that thought process. The more you give it your attention, the more you repeat that thought process, the more energy you give it, the easier it gets for that thought to be more energized, to get into your subconscious mind, to influence your subconscious thought processes. Let me give you an example to break down what I'm saying. Let's say somebody does something to you that makes you feel betrayed or angry, right? And you don't confront that person to like clear the air, or you don't forgive that person of what they did, right? No matter how long ago that thing happened, because you are holding on to that energy which is supposed to move out of your system, because you've held on to it, no matter how long ago that thing happened, whenever you hear that person's name or whenever you see that person, because you've given it most of your attention and you're giving it so much energy to enter your subconscious mind to stay there, whenever you see that person or whenever you hear the name of that person, that feeling of anger or betrayal would surface again, just like the day that thing happened, only because you've given it so much attention, by giving it so much energy, by identifying with it and not letting it move like it is supposed to. Or let me give you another example, but then in a more empowering way, right? Now, let's take, for example, that you are deeply in love with somebody, right? When you are deeply in love with somebody, you create an energized thought pattern for this person, which creates a neurological print in your subconscious mind for that person, right? And so because you have blocked that energy from moving out of your system and you have stored it in your subconscious mind, any thoughts of that person or any picture of that person that you would see, or even when you hear them talk, that feeling of love, like you start feeling that feeling of love in your system, like in your body. You get it? Just because you have held on to that energized thought pattern of that person in your subconscious mind. That is why you would hear people say that, oh, when this guy hugged me, when this girl touched me, when this guy talked to me, I felt butterflies in my stomach. Sister, there's no butterflies in any stomach. There's no butterflies anywhere. It is just an energized thought pattern that you have created in your subconscious mind, which has printed a neurological connection in your mind for that person, just because you have held on to that energy which is supposed to move. And so the more you hold on to a thought, or the more you hold on to an emotion, be it negative or positive, the stronger the neurological prints that you've made for that thing, the place, or the person gets in your subconscious mind. There are some two things I would like for you to put at the back of your mind. Very important facts about your emotions, and I think you should write them somewhere. You can always go back to it. If there's anything that you are going to take out of this video, if there's any lesson at all you are going to take, it is going to be either of these two things. The first one is that you are not your emotions. And by that, I mean your emotions will come, but more importantly, your emotions will go. Your emotions will come and go, but then you will stand painting like Obotentim. Think about your emotions like the clothes you wear. Like you keep changing them. You keep wearing different clothes on different days. You keep changing your outfits on like for different occasions and things. Unlike me, who wears the same cap and the same top for all my videos. By the way, if you are someone on here and you have a clothing brand and you want to sponsor, please come by. We need sponsorships. Right, so your emotions are like the clothes you wear. You keep wearing different emotions on different days. Your emotions will come, the negative ones will come, the positive ones will come, but more importantly, they will go. They won't stay forever. Because if they stayed forever, that depression that you went through some time ago wouldn't be gone by now. That painful experience that you went through that made you feel like your world was crumbling would still have been here. Your emotions will come, but more importantly, they will go. The second thing that I want you to know and write somewhere is that your emotions are not bad or useless, not even the ones that are negative, like anger and sadness or depression. They are not bad. your emotions do come to serve a purpose. They come to signal you that there is something wrong within your system. Probably you hold some disempowering beliefs about yourself. You are supposed to maybe let go of some relationships, or you are in a job that you hate or something. They are there to signal you that something is wrong. Think of it as the emotional equivalent of physical pain. You see, when you have headache, you would take maybe paracetamol or Panadol or Gibidol or any of the dolls just so your headache can go. Your headache tells you that there's something wrong in your system, and so it pushes you to like either go to the hospital, go and do some screening, or take some medicine just so your system can get back to normal. That is what your emotions are there to do. They are there to signal you when something is wrong within. Now, underlying every emotion that you'd feel is a thought. Any emotion that you'd feel towards anything, any person, any place starts with a simple thought, right? Now, there's this vicious cycle that builds up between your emotions and your thoughts, where your thoughts feed your emotions and your emotions feed the thoughts, and then that cycle continues like that. So if you've noticed, there was a time where you thought about something, right? And then that thought generated a negative emotion, let's say. Then that negative emotion that you were feeling brought up more thoughts that made you feel more of that emotions that you were feeling. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, or if you've ever experienced that thing. Once you start feeling that emotion, because of the vibrational frequency of that emotion you are feeling, it brings in other thoughts that are on that vibrational frequency. It kind of acts like a magnet and brings in other thoughts on that same frequency. Now, the big question is, how do your emotions affect your reality? So there's two ways that I can explain how your emotions affect your reality, which is one, the logical way, and then two, the universal way, which is kind of my favorite. But in this video, I'm going to explain how your emotions affect your reality in the logical way, in the scientific kind of way, and then in other videos, in subsequent videos, I would explain more how your emotions affect your reality when it comes to like the universal way, how the universe works and all of those things. You get me? Right. Okay, so now picking the logical way to answer how our emotions affect our reality, right? We have come to the realization that our thoughts are responsible for the generation of our emotions. The way we think is in direct correlation with the way we end up feeling. Another thing is that our brains are like memory banks. Your brain is just a collection of like your past experiences and the emotional charges that you've associated with anything, place, or circumstance, or person in your life, right? So what most of us do when we wake up in the morning is that we think about our problems that are linked to certain places and certain people and certain circumstances in our past, right? Only because about 90% of the thoughts that we are thinking today is similar to the thoughts that we thought yesterday, right? Now, how you think and how you feel creates your current state of being. And so if you are thinking about your problems, if you are thinking about your past problems, which I mean are in the past, obviously, then it means your current state of being is in the familiar past. Now, your body doesn't know the difference between an emotion that is created by a current experience, an experience that is currently going on, and an emotion that is generated by thoughts alone. And so if you are thinking in the past, your body thinks you are currently going through like the experience that is creating that emotion. It doesn't know that you are only creating that emotion based on the thoughts that you are thinking, right? And so it makes sense that if you keep being in the familiar past, if you keep thinking thoughts that you thought yesterday, then it makes sense that you would only create a reality that is predictable and is in correlation with the one that you got yesterday. Okay, so now the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act creates your personality. And then your personality creates your personal reality, which is your life, right? And so if you want to change your personal reality, then you're going to have to reverse engineer the whole process by changing your personality. And by changing your personality, it means you have to change the way you feel, the way you think, the way you act. So then how do we change the way that we think? The first step to changing the way that you think is within your ability to think about the way that you think. This is because about 95% of our thoughts are basically subconscious programs that we have strengthened by firing and wiring those thoughts over and over and over again. Now, if you are able to think about your thoughts close enough to know that, oh, this thought that I'm thinking right now isn't a thought that I want to keep firing and wiring in my brain, then of course you have made the first step to changing the way that you think, which is going to change the way that you feel, change the way that you act, and then it's going to change your personality, which that personality will change your personal reality. The only way you can keep strengthening those positive thoughts or positive neurological prints in your mind is through repetition. That is the only way. And so you're going to have to do it repeatedly over and over and over again before those new thoughts and new emotions become like your default subconscious thought processes. Just for your information, once you start practicing this, once you start putting some of these things into practice, once you start firing better thoughts into your brain, it is going to feel uncomfortable at first. But just know that any change that needs to make you better is going to feel uncomfortable at first. Just like when you are hitting the gym as a newbie, your body is going to make you feel like you are not ready for this or you don't need it, right? But small, little by little, keep at it. Observe your thoughts, catch yourself thinking negative thoughts and flip or switch out of it. With practice, your body and your mind would become so familiar with those positive thoughts. And just like the way you unconsciously programmed your mind with those negative thoughts, your body and your mind will accept those positive thoughts, and now they will become your default state of being or your default emotional state. And then you wouldn't need to focus consciously on it to make those thought processes go on in your brain anymore. You're going to have to do a lot of try and errors to know how this thing works for you for good. You're going to have to fuck around a lot to find out, just like I'm doing, fucking around a lot. That's why I can find out a lot, right? I hope you did take some notes for this lesson. If you did, kindly drop some of them notes in the comment section. Kindly drop what you learned from this lesson in the comment section, just so I know that you really took some notes, you really learned something. You get me? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next week with another video, probably on the same topic with other explanations and other ways to deal with this, or with another topic. Catch you next week. We're out.